I was reading in the comments today that, and this was that sweat equity video I did. Somebody said, "Well, you should have gotten it writing, maybe next time." And that kind of triggered something in my mind. I have gotten things in writing. I have reviewed things with people every 6 months. I have verbal confirmation. I had signed contracts, and I still think things didn't go the way they were supposed to. And it reminds me of this situation. And I'm not going to pull names. I'm going to tell you guys exactly what was going on. When Medley Music was looking to hire me, I had put a whole proposal together about what it would cost to hire me and what raises I would get. And I gave it to the owner, and this was in 97. And he looked at it, and the owner's name was Gerson Rosenblum. He was the son of the original owner, Harry Rosenblum, who started the company like 50 years before that. And he looked at it and he said, I've never paid anybody this much money to work here. And I said, well, the proposal is I'm starting a whole new division for you, new offices, new building, and it's going to go from there. It's going to become its own company. I said, here's the raises. Every year I hit my goal, you're going to give me a 10% raise. We're going to do that for 2 years. After 2 years, I hit all the goals that I'm setting forward in this proposal. You're going to make me a partner in the division of the company that I want to do. And he said, well, that sounds reasonable. But again, I've never paid anybody this kind of money. But all right, let's do it. And needless to say, I hit all the numbers. I surpassed all the numbers. But the one thing I did is every 6 months with this owner, I sat down with him, and I had my wife with me too. So just to have a witness to this. And we went over what was the agreement. And he agreed to it every single time. He said, yep, that's what we agreed to. Yep. And then we're on track to doing all this. And when I accepted this job, I have a lot of friends that are in the industry that are presidents of companies and that. And they saw that I took this job with Medley. And they go, are you sure you want to work for that guy? It's sometimes things don't turn out the way. And I said, no, he seems pretty trustworthy. We put it in writing, reviewed it, signed, and every 6 months we go over it. And all my friends they're kind of protective of me. They're going, all right, George, just be careful. So I worked my butt off. The company did $5 million a year. I did over $1 million the 1 year, and I was on my way to doing $2 million. So pretty important employee for sales for the company. And after the 2 years went by, I sat down with the owner. I go, okay, 2 years went by. We're Planet Medley. That was the division, was the pro audio thing. We're going to spin it off. It's a pro audio company, have its own internet presence, and we're going to hire other people to do, public PA systems and things like that, in addition to the recording. And he said, well, let me think about that because, I have some ideas. So me being as polite as I was, I waited. And then he came back to me a few months later and he said, I was going over the numbers and I just think I have a better idea for you. And I go, all right, what is it? And he says, well, I want to give you 25% of the profit that you've made for the company. Would that be acceptable? And I said, well, show me the numbers. Let's see what we're talking here. But that's not the agreement. And he said, okay. And I kept hounding him. And after the 2 years, it was like a whole year went by. And I asked him, in the middle of the night, I sent an email to him. I said, I've waited long enough. What are these numbers that you're talking about? And he responded, I've gone over it and really there is no numbers. There is no money. So you're just going to continue working the way you're working. And that's the way it's going to be. And that, this is the point where everything's written down, everything's agreed upon, but this person decided that that's not what he's going to do. He thinks he has me in a corner. I'm going to keep working for the company. And that's that. And I kind of enjoy the money I was getting, but he didn't know me. So what I did the next day, went in and I quit. And I pulled my van up loaded everything from my office into the van. I said, I'm done. I quit. And I told him, I said, the whole point of having me as a part owner in this company is that I can't quit and walk away at any point. If I have equity in the company, I'm going to stay. And I said, that's the way it works. So you decided you didn't want me to have any kind of equity in the company. You decided there was no money, even though we agreed on this whole thing. I'm walking. And he didn't know what to do. And then he had a psychiatrist call me up, trying to talk me back into staying there. And I explained to the psychiatrist, I said, well, here's what all that happens. What would you do? He says, oh, I see what happened. He says, I think it's because you're Greek. I go, what's my ethnic background have to do? Well, Greeks don't like to get screwed over. I go, I said, I'm sorry, but I don't think anybody likes to get screwed over. And this guy was trying to do all these head games with me to get me to stay. And what I agreed to do is I stayed an extra week to clean up all my deals, and I left. And it was the worst mistake this guy could have made. $5 million company. I'm close to $2 million. The company's not doing great after, I had left. And it didn't take long before they went out of business. And he inherited a company from his father who was 50 years in business, and it didn't take him long to run it into the ground. But the point I'm trying to make with this whole thing, you can put things in writing. You can get people to agree to it. You can get them to sign it. I mean, do you want to go through the whole legal hassle of holding somebody accountable? Sometimes you just have to cut your losses and go. And what I had done, I had my accountant go through all the paperwork, and we figured out that he owed me about $25,000. And I told him, and he never paid me. And he came up with all kinds of excuses why he had to look into things, but he never, ever paid me. And, when I heard the company was going out of business too, I go, well, there you go. I'm never going to get paid. But the whole point of this whole thing was getting things in writing, getting people to agree to it. It doesn't mean anything. You have to look at the integrity of the person, how honest they are. And some people just have to cut your losses. So a lot of this pro audio business, I can tell when somebody is going to be pretty good to me. And this one, there was a lot of red flags going up, but I kind of felt it was going in the right direction, but you can't be 100% all the time. So that's my story about that. I just needed to get that off my chest when somebody said, well, maybe you should have got it in writing. It's not that simple. So there you go. A follow up to what I was just talking about. When I had left the company, I didn't go to any job. I just quit and I went home, and I told all my clients, I said, here's my cell phone number. If you have a problem with anything, call me. I will take care of you. You don't worry. You're not, left out in the dark. And here's a stupidity that Medley came up with, where the owner, he decided he was going to send out a mailer to all his clients, which include all my clients, to tell them, well, George is not with the company anymore. And if you need any service, you should call this other sales guy. And that was just the dumbest move I ever heard, because guess what happened? Every single one of my clients called Medley and asked him, well, where did George go? And eventually they found out, and they all got back in touch with me, the ones that I didn't get in touch with, but they all followed me. So it's you take care of your clients, they'll take care of you. I mean, most of them will. It works out that way. But I just thought that was what a move to do. And the guy that he hired to take my place, I eventually talked to him one day, and he said, oh, it was like the worst thing ever, trying to take care of your clients, but your clients didn't really want to have anything to do with us. So that was the follow-up. I didn't work for anybody. And then I got a job at Angel Mountain, making way more money and doing way more business than I was doing at Medley. And everything worked out fine. So I thought I'd tack that on.